Talmor, Shishin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I hope to open the conversation about working parents a bit. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier, to find out how they balance being a dad with a successful career. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello world, and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. If you hear loud noises in the background of this episode, that is the new dog sleeping. She's sleeping in the office where I record right now, and she's such a funny little animal. Every time she moves in her sleep, she makes this like groaning noise. She's just very vocal. She's husky, so obviously very vocal. What else is going on? Okay, so the dog, Pepper, she's in the background. Sorry about that. She's very cute. You should go on our Instagram and look at a picture of her. Speaking of which, if you haven't followed us on there yet, you should definitely do that. Those links are in the show notes. And, you should rate and review the podcast and subscribe wherever you're listening to it. And drop us a line. Say hello. I'd love to talk to you. What else is going on? Okay, I finished a show recently. What did I finish? Oh, I finished Servant season 3. I hadn't watched all of it yet, and that season 3 finale was wild. And I don't think I know anybody else who is watching it. So if you've watched Servant, can you hit me up, because I got a lot to say. Got a lot I need to talk through about that show. It's very good, but I need somebody to like decompress with on that. I'm finally about to go see Top Gun. I don't know if you saw my TikTok or if I even said it on here. I can't remember what I do or do not say on the show. I tried to see Top Gun a couple weeks ago, but then my puppy decided to eat part of a toy, and I saw it on the camera, and so I had to go home. So I'm finally going to go see Top Gun. Very excited. And yeah, school, this, fun stuff. Let's get to it, shall we? Today on the show, we have the wonderful Shomari Love. He is a fantastic person and human, and I was super stoked to talk to him. We had a great time. So here is my conversation with Shomari. And welcome to the show, Shomari.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jillian.
Thank you for coming on. I'm very excited to talk to you. I'm super stoked to see your new film, but before we get into all of that, I want to go back and get to know you a little bit and ask you what got you into this crazy business.
Crazy is the operative word. Oh, man. Well, yeah, thank you for having me again. So for me, this goes back to, childhood. I really got into just the arts
Yeah.
in general. Started off playing African drums and then moved on to playing percussion and in a drum line. But in terms of acting, that came way later in life. I didn't study acting in school. I did maybe 1 or 2 productions in high school. But at the time, I was like, this wasn't for me. I was focused on other teenage things. So for me professionally, the journey started when I was already working in corporate America.
Oh, wow.
Essentially. Yeah. And, I kind of got the feeling that I wasn't putting my talents to use as best as I could. And I felt like every time I'd watch a show, I'd watch a project, these people that I emulated or that I looked up to, I'm like, I can do this. And I remember watching a show. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's called Entourage. It goes back a
Entourage.
little
Are
while,
you
but
kidding me? It's one of the greatest shows. I love that show. I
okay.
still say going to the valley, gotta hydrate, because that's
Oh,
one
you
of the
remember
best
that
lines.
episode?
Yes, I love that.
Johnny Drama.
Johnny Drama's the
So
best.
yeah, but as you know, that story is about a kid from Queens and his people, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Queens, and I remember watching that show. And I'm like, I can do this. Like,
Mm.
this might be impossible. I know no one else has ever done this, but I know I have a talent, and I should probably put it to use better now than later. And I remember just jumping in head first and just trying everything. I mean,
Wow.
everything.
So wait,
So,
you knew nobody that had been an actor before. So was your family creative at all? I mean, did they encourage
no.
any
Yeah,
of
so
that?
it's that's a great question. No, my family, majority of my family worked in the medical field or in the legal
Oh
field.
wow. Oh
Um
dang.
there yeah, there was no one really in the
They're like
arts.
professional professionals.
I remember when I first told my mom like, "Hey, I'm going to get into acting." And I think I told one of my other relatives, maybe it was an uncle or something. And I remember them looking at me and say, "You're gonna do what?" you have you have a great job right now, and you graduated college. I went to university, got a degree, and all of that good stuff. And then you're gonna do what? That it
Oh my
didn't
gosh.
make sense to them, right? It's like we pursue this like you said, this career, and it we have no idea what the path is and what the future holds, and
Yeah, I
that's what I
mean
did.
it's the most insane and wild industry to be a part of, because you just never know when you're going to work again. You don't know if it's going to actually do if you're going to do anything for like,
Exactly.
ever. You could work constantly for 2 years and then you could not get another job for 5 years after that. It's just a
Yeah.
wild you know, industry to be in. So what were you doing in corporate America before you decided to take this jump?
Yeah, very random. I was working in the ad tech space. So I
Heck
was like
yeah.
an ad tech executive,
Oh
working
shit.
for, yeah, it was definitely different, but it was interesting. I've always been into like, technology and entrepreneurship and things in that space. So it's kind of like, naturally attracted me. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's the space I was in. And when the journey started at the time, I remember like web series were really popular. They were picking up.
Mhm.
So one of the first projects I ever worked in was a web series that ended up on, I believe, Amazon. Can't
Mhm.
recall.
I wanted to know if you could share with the listeners how you navigated going from, a different career and not knowing anybody in this industry and finding your way through the
Yeah.
first steps of it all.
All right. So what I will say is, and I always give credit, when it's due. One of my fraternity brothers, Jeremy Sample, he does work in the entertainment space, and he works as a stunt professional.
Mm,
So he's probably the only person that I was able to go to for any type of advice very early on. But
yeah.
essentially, when I started off, one of the main things that he said is like, listen, if you want to do this, you got to start off with like an acting class or something. So for me, I remember trying to figure out ways to find an acting class that I can attend when I was finished work, and
Yeah.
then trying to absorb as much information as possible about the industry and about this career through reading and just acclimating with material, stage
Mm.
plays. And literally, I found a class that was in Midtown at the time, and I remember getting off work and having to hustle across Midtown so I wouldn't be late for the acting class because those things start on time, right?
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's how you know you're an actor, is when you're hustling across the city.
exactly. I'm hustling across the city. I remember taking off my blazer and my tie and like, all right, I'm ready for class. Let's do this. And funny enough, I used to in the beginning, right, when I was taking that class, we would be responsible for bringing material to class, right, to
Yeah.
to practice in class and to review. And I would always prepare a character that worked as some type of professional, because I didn't have to
You're
get
like,
in the
I can
wardrobe.
channel this.
I can channel this. Like I just dealt with this for 8 hours, and I have a button up on already. So I'll just jump in and sing. Let's go.
That's
Um,
hysterical.
yeah. So that's kind of how the start was. I jumped into acting classes, started reading a lot of material, and then I didn't know how to navigate anything in terms of casting. I had no idea. So
Mm-hmm.
I found certain casting websites, and I just would apply to everything. And I looked at it from a business perspective. I said, okay, well, if I'm going to be entering into this world and presenting myself to people that I would like to seriously consider me to even audition for a project, I would have to put my best foot forward. So what does
Mm-hmm.
that mean? In my mind, that meant having a professional headshot. In addition to a professional headshot, a resume. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, if you haven't accumulated any credits yet, you don't necessarily have a resume,
Yeah,
right?
it's true, but like just the fact that you put on the resume that you're training
Right.
is enough when you're starting.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. Put that on there and then apply to any and everything I could. I just wanted to be on set and to learn what I could learn behind the camera, in front of the camera. Um, I tried to learn as much as possible. And then, one thing led to another.
That's amazing. So do you remember like the first big TV show or film that you booked and like what that feeling was for you and what that audition process
Uh,
was for you too?
I think the first like speaking roles essentially that happened for me on television, those are like they were on, I believe, like the Investigation Discovery. Those network, I'm not sure if you're
Mm.
familiar with
Mm-hmm.
those
Oh,
shows.
are
So
you
like
kidding me? Yeah. ID
the
channel? Come on.
reenactment. So I remember going out for those auditions, and that's when everything was still in person.
Yeah.
So I remember going to the casting offices and doing these auditions, and your nerves are going 1,000 miles per hour. You're thinking about everything under the sun except
Mm-hmm.
for the thoughts of the character, right? What you should be thinking about.
Except what you need to be doing in the room.
Exactly. And then I remember booking, like the first time I booked one of those shows, I was just ecstatic to when I received the first booking confirmation, essentially via email. Like, wow, oh wow, this is really gonna happen. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna be on TV. Let's go. And then once you get the first one, it keeps going, and then eventually, when I landed like my first TV credit on network television, that's when it's like you see the difference in the type of sets,
Oh
and
yeah.
and that's when like you kind of get hooked. It's like, wow, I love this experience. I want more. Um, how do I do
Well,
this
yeah,
again?
you see the scale of it all and you're just like, "Oh wow, this is really cool." Like it's so hard to explain to somebody who's not an actor because it's like this weird feeling of just pure euphoria almost when you
Euphoria and
get on
bliss, right?
set where you're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look at all these people and I get to do this. How cool." Like it's amazing.
It's funny you say that. The perfect example would be the first time I shot on CW, was for a show called Black Lightning,
Mm,
and that set, I don't know, it felt like a dream come true. It looked like a set from a movie that you're watching a movie about making a
yeah.
movie, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
anytime it's like those big sets that are like either superhero or fantastical or, ones too that are period pieces, those
right,
sets are so wild to be a part of because you're just like, it's so involved.
very much so. I'm very grateful for that experience, and it humbles you as well. Like, you see how all the pieces blend together, and how it really takes a tribe and a team to put out a project. But we see as a final product on television, like you have no idea what goes into it, and it helps you appreciate it so much more.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. So I noticed too on your IMDb, you've been doing a lot of short films and you've also been directing and producing. So what got you, inspired to get on the other side of the camera?
Yeah, great question. I think part of it was, as I mentioned, like early on, wanting to learn everything I can about
Mm-hmm.
how the entire system works in terms of how all the departments work together, what it takes to really produce something. And by doing that, appreciating the work that everyone puts into a project, and understanding that, there were times that as an actor, I appreciated how my performance was received, or how I was provided space and
Mm,
opportunity by a director to fully, you know what I mean, immerse myself in the craft. And I wanted to, when I began to do these projects, and every time I embark on a project like that, it's like, how can I provide that space for someone else to facilitate growth on this journey? And then, and you know, we have all these ideas. How can I manifest these ideas and create a project? It's like, you don't have to have a crazy big budget just to take something from your mind to paper and then put it on camera. It's about just trying. And I've always been inspired by, you know, so many great directors. Like, if you ever want to achieve an ounce of that, I feel like you have to take the step and at least try. So that's part of why I did it.
I like that. I like, you know, you mentioned giving space to artists, and it's interesting because, as you know, in the independent film world, you don't always get that chance because things move very quickly, and it's like you got to stay on schedule, which is kind of the joy of making a short film. There's not as much pressure on time because it's a short shoot. So you're able to kind of give yourself that space to explore creatively. I mean, all the independent films I've been a part of, it's like, here's your 13-day shoot. Let's get this out.
Right. And it's, I mean, and also to your point, it's more intimate also. Like, you're working with a smaller team. Sometimes they, you know, it's like a skeleton crew, and people are wearing many different hats. So you find yourself in a position where you're learning things you thought you would never learn. And then as an actor, you're in a space where, yes, you may have the luxury to do several takes. You may have a luxury to do it to the extent where you think that you're happy with it, but at the same time, because you're working in a smaller time frame, it's not necessarily pressure, but it's an incentive to get things done on time. Because if it doesn't get done, you might not have a shot at doing it again.
Exactly.
Like, this is all we have to work with, so we got to make it work, right?
Do something good or do nothing.
Exactly. Short and sweet version, exactly.
You can shop from anywhere doing pretty much anything. You might shop while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast. And however you shop, we all know and love the thrill of the hunt. But do you also know how to get the thrill of the best deals? Because Rakuten shoppers do. With Rakuten, they get the deals they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Sephora, Nike, and even Expedia if you're looking to get some travel in. And getting cash back doesn't mean you have to miss out on sales, because those can just be stacked right on top. It's easy to use and based on a simple idea. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back through PayPal or check. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's Rakuten. As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But we also sell merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell and grow at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. They have an all-in-one e-commerce platform and in-person POS system, so wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. With the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers. Shopify has allowed us to share something tangible with the podcast community we've built here, selling our beanies, sweatshirts, and mugs to fans of our shows without taking up too much time from all the other work we do to bring you even more great content. And it's not just us. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify is also the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/REALM now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
You said something else that I wanted to touch on, and now I can't remember because you just made me laugh. There
Well, that's
goes
a
my
good thing.
short-term memory.
That's
God, I swear. It's like, how am I losing my memory this early in life? Okay, well, maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe it won't. Oh, that's what it was. I appreciate the fact that you, as an actor, want to learn everything there is possible. It's something I tell young actors when I'm speaking with them is knowing every person's job on set, knowing what
right.
it entails, because as actors, yes, we work long days, but we also get the luxury to go home when they call wrap.
Right.
And crew does not. Crew is still
Right.
there, actually wrapping out. And it's nice to be able to say, like, I know what your job is, I know your journey, and I appreciate you. I think it just makes you a more humble um, person as well as an actor.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And as I mentioned, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had in production, on both sides of the camera. Um, I think one thing that always surprises people is, I think, the rate of growth.
Mm,
I've been blessed to accomplish certain amount of things in a shorter period of time, and part of that is me acknowledging that every opportunity is a blessing, and every encounter that you have when working in this space, it's important that you communicate how valuable the other person is and how
yeah.
much you appreciate their time as much. Like I work on a set, I wrap a scene, whatever work I did, as happy as everyone may be with it, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that we shared this experience together and that you showed up today to work, because had you not, we probably wouldn't be able to get this shot done. So, it was a collective effort. And I try to express that as often as possible. And I think that has helped me, A, remain humble, and B, just appreciate all of the small wins, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. I
Yeah.
mean, everything in this industry is a win.
Yeah. Every and
Really.
anything, right?
Anything.
Once you get the
Callbacks are
call sheet, is
wins.
like,
Everything is a
exactly.
win. Um,
Exactly.
so I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about your new movie, Take the Night, which is hitting theaters July 8th. I watched the trailer. It looks really fun.
Nice.
I love mystery and shoot 'em up films. They're so fun. But tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about it.
Oh man, so yeah, it is definitely action packed. It was my first heist film. This project is it's a really cool project. It's basically about, well, it shows two sides of a story, but it centers around family,
Mm,
both sides of family, blood and family that you acquire in life through trials and tribulations. So the character that I play in the film, his name is Shannon, and he's a part of a crew, a group of guys that grew up together and have shared experiences in life, and they're presented with an opportunity, and the opportunity comes by way of this individual who essentially wants to um, plan something for his younger brother.
mm,
So, yeah, he wants to plan something for his younger brother, and it ends up unfolding and becoming a huge heist slash action packed scenario. Uh, and my character is an individual who, he's been through a lot, and he has hit his rough patches. And I think in the film, we see that his ability to persevere is really tested. In addition, we see the human side of him and what one is willing to do when their back is against the wall, and
mm.
they're down and out, and they're in a place of need. So I'm really excited about the film. I'm excited for people to see it. I'm glad that you like the trailer. The trailer is not even half of what happens in that movie. It's crazy.
I love action movies like that. I think that's just so fun. I mean, everyone loves a good slice of life film and whatever else, but it's
Right.
fun to watch the movies that have that. I don't know what you want to call it. I guess it's action, but I don't know. I just like those types of films. It's like Ocean's 11 too. Like it's just fun to
Yeah.
watch.
You know what? You know what? I often remind myself of is like a lot of the action films we see, like they're great. They're like everyone wants to be in an action film. I
Yeah.
think what's very unique about Take the Night is that it's an action film, but the main characters in this film are relatable. They
Mm.
have these everyday stories. There's someone that you may encounter anywhere you go. It's not like a situation where this guy is he's like a super action hero and he only gets called out for these crazy missions. No,
Yeah.
these are average people who just happen to be in a circumstance that is action packed, basically.
Ah, it's so cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, on this show, we like to share audition stories. Those can be, sad ones, funny ones, exciting ones. Are there, do you have a story that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I do, and you'll be the first to hear this story, guys. So
Yeah.
enjoy. All right, so it's not. I mean, since it happened, I've processed it a little differently, and I don't know why I tried to normalize it, but it's
Oh,
definitely
shit.
not normal. So this happened during the pandemic, essentially, right? And when everything went virtual,
Mm,
so for a period of time, auditions kind of slowed down. But then when they picked up, I mean, it's floodgates, but everything is virtual auditions, right? So
mm-hmm.
I recall that during the pandemic, I had an audition, and it was actually with a network casting director. I won't say which network, but I had been home for so long, like many people, and I just wanted to travel. So my brother and some of my friends, we decided to take a trip, and somehow I the audition was booked, but there was a last minute change for the audition time and date.
Uh-oh.
But it was like I said, it was with the network casting director, so by no means was I going to change it. I had to make it work, right?
Right.
So we were in Costa Rica. We were on the way to um, this excursion that we had booked,
Okay.
and there's a time difference as well. And then come to find out that this casting director during this period of time was shooting in Pacific time and
Oh,
not
gosh.
Eastern time, so the entire time zone got mixed up. So I remember that I had to do this audition, and I had my laptop with me in the car. Something told me just to bring it. I had my laptop, I had my phone with me, and it was going to be this audition on Zoom. And I'm not sure if you've ever visited Costa Rica, but
Have not.
there's like the main capital city, but then as you go towards the south, you have to trek across, like, I guess, a different terrain, a mountainous terrain,
Oh,
whatever the case is.
God. Okay.
So here we are. I thought we had it planned accordingly that we would be in the car and the drive would take maybe 45 minutes. I'd arrive at the destination, be able to sit down, get on the Wi-Fi, do this audition. That is not what happened.
Oh,
Apparently,
no.
the route that we were supposed to take was closed off, and we ended up having to take another route, which took us through like this countryside. And the time came that we had to pull over on the side of a mountain. I kid you not. We pulled over on the side of a mountain. I asked all my friends to try to be as quiet as possible. We rolled up the windows because obviously there's a lot of like atmospheric noise,
They
and
hear a monkey in the background and they're like, what is that?
monkeys, there's horses, there's parrots. All of these sounds are going on. We roll up the window. It's like 85 degrees outside,
Oh, my
probably more
God.
than that. So we have to turn the car off also, right? And I'm on the side of the road. The Wi-Fi is going in and out, and I'm doing this audition in the car on Zoom on the
Oh,
side of
my
this
God.
mountain, sweating bullets. I'm sweating bullets at this point, and the casting director is like, "Is everything okay?" Like, she's like, "All right, let's go again. Take a deep breath, not rush it." And I mean, I've done 1,000 auditions at this point, but I'm sweating and I'm rushing because I want to hurry up and get this over with because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's gonna happen side of the mountain um, as the sun is about to set, right?
Oh, God. Just add to
But
it.
anyway, yes, but I ended up getting it done. The second take was great. I ended up just using everything around me. I used a scenario. I ended up making a scenario that the people that were in the scene with me were actually in the car and we were on the way to this destination, which happened to be what occurs in the next scene. And I made it work. Craziest audition ever, but
Okay, but did they
great
ask you, like,
experience.
why are you in a car?
Yeah, she did. She definitely asked at the end. She's like, "So what's going on?" And I mean, I'm honest. I was like, Yeah, I'm actually in Costa Rica, and I didn't want to miss this audition, so I pulled over and we did it. They're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your trip." I'm like, "Okay, but all right, thanks."
But did I get it?
Did I get a call back or yeah, you did great. Enjoy the rest of your trip. So
Oh my God, that is commitment right there.
hey, yeah, it's a crazy story, isn't it?
I love that story. I love a
Yeah,
good crazy story. I love stories like that because it's like, you know, especially with self tapes and virtual auditions, it's like you try your best to like work your life around this.
right.
Because it's different than, just how it used to be where it's like,
In
hey, in
person,
three
right?
days you have an in-person audition. Oh, thank you so much. I know how to plan around that. Now it's
Right.
like, hey, you have a self-tape due tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and it's 6 p.m. right now. And you're like, excuse me? Okay, let me try to figure this out. Um, so I appreciate stories that are like that because it's such an interesting time in the industry as an actor. So hearing funny stories like that makes me
It
happy.
is, and it's like we never know what tomorrow holds. Obviously, that's the cliche,
Hmm.
but it's like when those curveballs come at you, like what do you do? Like no one would ever anticipate that situation. I
No,
never anticipated that situation, right? If I travel, there's a book out essentially, but
right. But
it's like no,
now
like
it's
this.
like if you travel, you don't have to book out anymore, which is kind of great. I will say that.
It's great. It's great. I had a chance to. I went to Portugal with one of my friends that's an actor as well, and we both said like, you know what's gonna happen the day that we get there, we're both gonna get auditions.
Yep.
And this one is not as crazy, but we literally checked in, and maybe a few like an hour or two later, we both got self tapes, and we like set up the hotel room and rigged up a self tape setup and did our auditions in the hotel room back to back, and
Yep.
it's like a great experience. It's like we're gonna do this, we're gonna grind it out, and we're gonna be determined enough to get it done.
I've
Anybody can make an
definitely done
excuse.
that. I've definitely
Yeah,
done that in hotel rooms where you're like finding like everything you can to stack things on top of. It's like you get the garbage can and the Bible from
yeah,
the nightstand, and then you put
yeah.
whatever else you can find and you stack it so you can actually frame up.
And then we didn't bring the stands. Then you got to try to
Yeah.
hold the phone as steady as possible, just so it's not.
Bad. Oh
Yeah,
my God. Well, this has been so fun. I'm
yeah,
very excited that you found, your passion for acting and filmmaking and that you followed it because a lot of people would not. So
yeah.
cheers to you on that.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for
Where
having me.
can people follow you to keep up with all of the fun stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm most active on Instagram, and it's my name, so at Shomari Love. Um, that's where I'm most active, and
Awesome.
we'll be making posts and things like that there. Feel free to comment. I respond. I'm not one of those people that don't say anything. I respond.
That's
So
good.
yeah,
That's good.
looking forward to
Um,
connecting.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'm very excited to see Take the Night, which is out July 8th. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ellie.
Thanks again to Shomari for coming on the show. Everybody check out Take the Night, hitting theaters July 8th and on digital streaming sites July 12th. I know I will be watching it. I love an action heist movie. They get my blood going. And yeah, thanks for tuning in today, everybody. I just tried to say everyone and everybody at the same time. I really need to get some sleep. My puppy keeps waking me up at like 3:45 a.m., so that's fun. So pretend I said everyone or everybody, I guess. It doesn't really matter. Any whoosicle. Thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you're listening to it now. Hit those links in the show notes and tune in next week. And as always, thanks for coming in.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.